Welcome to Rikka TV. Hello and welcome to Rikka's Secrets to Abundance, and giving you the tools so that you can have the wealth that you so richly deserve. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, today what we're going to be talking about is actually having the mindset of a billionaire. Now, we've talked a lot about the energetics of a billionaire, but now let's talk about the mindset of a billionaire, because there's definitely a different way in which your mind interacts with this world around you, with business, with money, and with finances that will bring you into that millionaire, billionaire status instead of wherever you are financially, okay? So for me, I began wondering what that mindset was myself. And what did I do? Well, I started hanging out with people that were really, really successful. And in fact, the more successful, the better. It's like, somebody would have a friend of a friend that did really, really well in the stock market. And I'd be like, hey, could I take them to lunch or dinner? And I just ask them questions. And during one of these meetings, there were some really amazing tips that I got from this particular billionaire who actually invests in different companies. And they've been investing for about 10 years. And they've received somewhere between 10 to 64 times what they actually put into each of these stocks. And they also showed me the formula for how they did it, which is so cool. So I just wanted to share with you some of those tools that you can actually begin looking at everything quite differently and begin changing your mindset into a billionaire mindset no matter where you are financially. Because whether you have $1,000 in your bank account or $1 million in your bank account, that's just a matter of zeros, right? So what we can do is create the foundation of your financial world inside a formula that actually works for billionaires. And if you have $1,000 to grow into $1 billion, do you see? It's just a matter of zeros, okay? Awesome. So the first thing that I began looking at is how much of their finances, how much of their money is actually in cash, and how much of their money is actually invested in stock market and property, and right. And what I found is they actually mostly had quite a bit of cash. And I asked them, I'm like, why do you like to have so much cash? And they're like, well, it just makes me feel good, because for me, I'm an opportunist, right? So when I have hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars, that's also in a cash account. So having so much money to where it's not all super invested, you have enough money to where you can actually, go forward in projects that you want to move forward in just like that. Okay, so that was an interesting piece. Another piece that he said, his dad actually told him this, and he had just bought like a $25,000 business, and he was going to try to move it to maybe a $250,000 business. And his dad was like, why are you doing all that work for that little amount of money? And for his mindset, he was like, well, $250,000 is a lot of money, because it was before he really made billions. And his dad said, you're not dealing in enough zeros. Which is interesting, right? You're not dealing in enough zeros. And that was as simple as it was. And so what he did is he went, oh, okay, well, let me kind of follow my dad's advice, and why don't I do a $25 million deal that moves into a $250 million deal instead of a $25,000 deal? Now, that might seem like a really big jump for some of you guys. And maybe you even feel like, oh my God, that just feels like too much money and too confusing and too, right? But those energies, what if those energies are what's keeping that billionaire mindset from coming in, from just being very clear that you can do $25 million deals, right? It's only a matter of zeros. Okay, and it's the meaning and the significance that you have around those numbers and having that much money, and how much it's scary and freaks you out and it's too big, that actually keeps those possibilities from showing up. So just for a moment, let's actually do a clearing on that, because I can feel the energies in your system that really want to be released so that you can move into this billionaire mindset very easily. Okay, so first off, just go ahead and open your body just like a pipe. And allow the inside to be spacious. Just spacious, flowing through, spacious, flowing through. There we go. Now expand your energy field out as big as this universe, allowing yourself to go out in every direction, up, down, all around. There we go. We're going to bring in some abundant energy. And abundant energy is an overflowing energy of basically oneness or God that we can bring in to heal, move, shift any of these lower vibrations of fear, lack, or scarcity, right? So just go ahead and bring your awareness up and find that energy of abundance. Free-flowing, joy-filled, easy, really fun, really awesome, light, light, light. There we go. Feel into all that energy and it goes on forever, and let's connect you with that abundance, okay? So now that you can feel that energy, yep, way up there, there we go. Now go ahead and breathe that energy in. Allowing that energy to flow through your body, and allowing yourself with the exhale, to bring that abundance through your fingers and your toes, all the way through your fingers and your toes, right, and out your system. So you're kind of flushing your whole body and your whole system. And with that, you're also, in your own system, really agreeing to level yourself up into, okay, I can be aware of $25 million. Okay, I can do this, right? It's just a matter of zeros. It's exciting, isn't it? It's even exciting for me. Like, yeah, wow, what change could I create on the planet with $25 million? Oh my God, this would be so much fun, right? So bring your awareness up again into that level of abundance that's just right there for you, right? All that ever flowing, always gifting, going on forever abundance. There we go. Breathe that energy in. And as you breathe that energy in with the exhale, just release all these old vibrations. There we go. Release, release, release. There we go. Let it go all the way through your fingers and your toes, bringing that abundance and that flow through the entirety of your body. Perfect. And one more breath, bringing your awareness up into that energy of abundance. The joy, the peace, the love, the space, everything is there for you. Zero scarcity, zero fear, right? Zero separation. There we go. Take a deep breath, bringing that in. Allowing that to come into your body and into your form. There we go. Let it come all the way through. There we go. Out your fingers and your toes. There we go. Nice. Good clearing, everyone. Wow. Feel you guys. Very good. Okay, so all we're doing is dealing in zeros. So first off, it's no big deal, right? If you've got $25 in your bank account or $250 million, we're just dealing in zeros, so chill out. That feel good. It feels so good to take our power back from numbers and from paper. It's like, it wasn't meant to be how people have created it here. It's meant to just have, from my perspective, zero significance, zero meaning. And what we can do with that is when you give something, when you have significance about something, when you think, oh my God, this thing, and it's so big and it's so great, 25 million, that would freak me out. You're actually giving it your energy, right? And you're giving it your power. Anything that you judge, you've made greater than you. So what we're doing is, with this, we're taking our power back and saying, hey, 25 million, just a bunch of zeros. Same as 25, just a bunch of zeros. No big deal. And with that comes a level of clarity to actually live within those high figures, to be able to exist there, to be able to play there, to be able to invite the world to play with you there. Do you see? Okay, awesome. All right, so also in hanging out with this billionaire, I began to notice that he began questioning me a lot about everything, right? So I'm like, wait a second, I'm asking you lots of questions, you're asking me lots of questions, and there's this energy of the wondering spirit, right? The spirit that wonders how much more is possible. So would each of you be willing to invite in that wondering spirit that's like, oh my gosh, what else, what greater could happen? Like, how could miracles show up, right? When you begin to wonder about that stuff, you actually bring those possibilities into existence. Okay, so just invite in that wondering spirit. Actually, go ahead and feel into that version of you, the one that just wonders how much more magical everything can get in every moment. There we go. And let's breathe that in. And with the exhale, let go of all the old vibrations of maybe disappointment or whatever's kind of not allowing you to really let your heart wonder how magical and amazing and beautiful this incredible life that you have is and is going to be every moment in your future. Okay, so go ahead and breathe that in. Okay, breathing in back my wondering capacities, my wondering capabilities, my ability to wonder. There we go, bringing that through. Oh, yay, part of you back online. I like it. Woo, it's a good part too. So I began to kind of feel that energy in him. The other thing is, he didn't really have too many fixed positions about anything. Like, it was kind of like, oh yeah, we'll see. Or, oh yeah, we'll kind of be with it. And, and it wasn't like, it's like in his system, there wasn't a hard line of like, this is the way it has to be, and this is the way it has to go. And he was very, very liquid. Now, this makes sense, right? Because this entire consciousness is very liquid. It's very flowing. So the more you allow yourself to flow with energies, the more you're actually in connection and being this energy of oneness that's always expanding, always moving, and always changing, which means you can go with that flow and allow yourself to ride that expansion instead of getting caught in any of the old paradigms. Do you see? Okay, so let's bring your awareness up into that flowing, wondering, expansive, flowing, always riding that energy of what's greater, what else is, going on for you, like what else you could have, like how much more amazing everything could actually get. There we go. So feel up into all those energies. There we go, that expanding. Go ahead and bring that energy in. Letting yourself become that ever-expanding, wondering, ever-expanding, wondering, ever-expanding, wondering. There we go. Bring your awareness up one more time into this ever-expanding, wondering. How much better and greater and more awesome everything can be in every moment. There we go. Letting all that energy flow through, letting it come all the way through. Okay, so I just want to give you one more piece before we go. And this one I thought was also really interesting for carving out what that billionaire mindset is for you. Actually, there's two more pieces. The first thing is he invests in companies and he realizes that people stop themselves. Okay, so what he does is before he invests in a company, he checks all their financials and stuff, which is the normal stuff, but he actually goes and meets the CEO, the person who's in charge of where the company's headed. And he asks him some really great questions. So he said, how much did you make last year on this deal? And the guy was like, $5 billion. He's like, so what if you could have made $50 billion? And he sees what the person does. Okay, so if they go into, wow, do you know how that's possible? What could you offer me about that? Or, wow, that would be really awesome. I wonder how we get there. If they go into that acceptance of it, he knows it's somebody that he can work with. If they go into fear, like, oh, that's too much money, or that would be too out of control, he pays attention to their energy system to see what they do with it, right? Isn't this just totally amazing? So, or they might go into, oh, that wasn't possible. This is the best thing we could do. And when he gets that fixed position, instead of the wondering or the question or the moving into the greater, he knows that that's not the person that he wants running running that company. And that's not the company he's actually going to invest in, because he realizes that people stop themselves. So that person will stop the business from growing, and he knows it. Isn't that amazing? What a brilliant way of looking at it, right? Because how true is that, right? People stop themselves. So as you move forward, one thing is, would you consider not stopping you any longer? Yes? Okay, good. And notice when you're hiring employees, when you're hiring people, notice where they are in their world too. And if they're part of your financial world, you probably don't want to hire a CFO that has that old mindset and isn't carrying that billionaire mindset. Does that make sense? Okay, so the last thing is, he showed me a little bit about a formula, and he actually just showed me this in his energy system. So we didn't really talk about it, but it's really, really cool. And I started actually implementing it. I started looking at, if I was a billionaire, what percentage of my, how much money I have would be invested in stocks? What percentage of how much money I have would I have in cash? What percentage of how much money I have would I reinvest into the business? And also looking at the funnel, the formula for when money comes into your world, what do you actually do with it? How much of it is expenses? How much of it is profits? And how do you actually create that billionaire mindset to where the money that actually comes in is funneled into those accounts and is growing exponentially. Okay, so, and the other thing is this billionaire formula is going to be different for each of us, because each of you have a different level of, a different awareness for yourself of what feels really like a yes for you. So for me, when I looked at it, there were a few things. One thing that I started doing was that anytime a dollar came into our account, I would take 10 cents of it and put it into my personal account, and then I would put 10 cents of it into my business account. And that was in order to create that halving account that we actually spoke about earlier on the series. So I had one for my business and myself, so that both of my these entities, these energy structures, could feel like they were constantly expanding financially, because they were. Right? You got the money coming in, and 10 cents goes here, 10% goes there, 10% goes there. And then I began looking at, okay, what's the formula for, as that 10% grows, how much do I keep in cash? How much do I keep in stocks? How much do I have in property? And how much do I reinvest? And for me, I began looking at, well, I probably like to invest. I would feel really insignificant around maybe 20% of the cash. Right? So I felt really good about investing 20%. And I felt really, really good about it because I could lose that 20% and it would be no big deal. So you want to find the number for investing where if it went away, it would be no problem, because significance can very much cloud your awareness, right? So the more significant the amount of money is, the freakier it'll be, and the investment will either drive you crazy because it's going up and down or whatever, like, oh my God, I gotta get out, no, I should get in, no, and it'll just drive you nuts because you actually have too much money in there for you. When you put an amount of money in that you could walk away from and it's no big deal, it's no big deal. Okay, the other thing that you can also practice with this billionaire mindset, one of the things that he showed me was that they invested in the beginning, they were kind of like really invested. And then from that moment on, they made so much money that all they invested was 10%. So say they made 100 million, the next investment they did, they would take 10 million and they would reinvest it and they would keep 9 million, right? So what that creates is one, they pulled out their initial investment. So they're like, all right, well, let me keep 90%. So they kept their initial investment and more profit that they actually made from it. And then they took this 10%, which was all profit from the last one that just showed up. So now this money, this 10%, this 10 million really doesn't mean anything. You see? Because it wasn't there before. It was all profit from the last thing. They have the amount of money that they invested in before. And they've actually followed that formula again and again and again, which means they are bringing in the money, right? They're taking 90% of it. They're putting it into their having accounts, their properties, their bank accounts, their whatever CDs, all that stuff that, you could do. And then they take that 10% and then they reinvest it in a new company of their choice. Do you see? So they're never investing anything that would sink them, that would, if they got taken away, that they would, not have any more money. And that's a really, really big piece, because a lot of you guys, maybe as you begin having money or wealth, you're like, okay, let's invest all of it in this one stock. It's like, that's not really the best idea. What you want to do is find an amount of money that you feel really comfortable with losing. So it's not significant at all, doesn't mean anything. And from there, you can begin feeling out which ones of these stocks are actually talking to you. They're saying, invest in me, I will expand your money. And you can actually feel when you tap into them, this sense of lightness and expansion. Okay, and those are the stocks that you actually want to follow. But you can't do it from your mind, okay? So notice if you're in your mind, you probably have some fear around losing the money, right? Because when you don't have fear around losing the money, you stay in your heart and everything is very easy. It's very easy to energetically be aware of that. Does that make sense? Okay, so I know we went long, sorry about that, but I just wanted to give you all these facets of how to actually look at your life from this billionaire mindset so you can begin creating the financial world that actually works for you. So, in that vein, in that essence too, one more piece is that America and the society really teaches you to spend more than you have or to spend all of it. It just does. So you want to kind of look at that too. And look at, well, if I'm bringing in this amount of money, it's like, how can I keep my expenses down and move more into ownership of my property, right? Instead of oh, let me get a bigger house because now I'm making more money, and then let me pay more on a mortgage. It's like you end up paying, over double for your place by the end of the 30 years. So it's not necessarily a great investment, although it can be a good investment. But you really want to let go of all the societal stuff. And the reason how you'll energetically know when you're functioning based on, let me make a choice based on society, is it'll seduce you. And it'll grab your attention, and it'll grab your mind, and it'll have your mind racing on it, and it'll think, oh my God, if I do this, I'm gonna be somebody else. I'm gonna get the energy back. I'm gonna finally enjoy my life. All of that is not true. Okay? That's all where this illusion is seducing you, and you cannot trust those investments, okay? And once you get clear, you're gonna have an energetic awareness of a yes that's gonna feel as big as the universe, and it's gonna be light and expansive. You got me? Okay. All right. Well, that concludes our amazingly awesome video on showing you these different aspects of a billionaire mindset and actually how to function your life, your business, and from this billionaire mindset so that you can grow into the billionaire that you're meant to be. And we can use that money to actually change this whole planet. Okay, awesome. Thanks for joining us once again. Sending you tons of love. And remember, keep loving you.